There is no red, white, or blue in this country. The only color that matters is green because we live in the United Corporations of America. Good afternoon. It is Jordan Chariton, live, Status Coup. It is Tuesday, January the 28th, 2025, in the United Corporations of America. I am delighted to be joined as the empire dies quicker than it was, because I sure think we are in end times for the neoliberal American empire, expedited possibly by Donald J. Trump. Joined by Steve Grumbine, Real Progressives co-founder. Definitely subscribe to Real Progressives. All the links are in the description. We'll promote it later as well. We're both recovering. You from pneumonia?
Big time. I'm still got it, buddy. Still got it.
I got to tell you, I mean, I'm heterosexual, but I'm kind of turned on by that voice. Raspy.
Hey, man. I got your smooth jazz, the after hours voice. Yeah.
That voice got a nice little
Next
rasp
up,
there.
Ella Fitzgerald.
I will be very quick on my own health stuff because we have a lot of crazy stuff to discuss. I texted you. So I wasn't feeling great towards the end of last week, just run down, burnt out, thought it was a cold. Saturday, I'm rolling out of bed. I'm holding my lovely 2-year-old daughter, and all of a sudden I feel very dizzy. I don't really suffer from dizziness. Then I get up and I feel nauseous. I barely make it to the toilet, and then I puke. And then I go to lay back down on my back, and I feel like a rush of dizziness to my forehead and like the room spinning. So I went to urgent care. I'm like, all right, knew it. Cancer, something. Apparently I had like significant fluid in both ears, which can cause dizziness and nausea. Never heard of that before. They gave me an injection of something, Dramamine, for the nausea. Anyway, it was wild. I was really down for it. I went to the ear, nose doctor this morning. No more fluid. I guess I was popping Mucinex like it was candy because I'm congested, you know. But anyway, that's my story. So I've been out of it, but feeling a little better now. I got to go get allergy tested because I've been congested like a motherfucker all winter. With that said, smash that like button, share this live stream. We are still on the upswing here at Status Coup. Colin, what have we gained? Like 2,000 subscribers today?
A little more than that, like 2,500.
And you know what, wow. Steve? It's like in the past, it's like YouTube taketh and then giveth. In the past, when you covered things nobody else was covering, it was a bad thing on YouTube. But now I covered, I'm shocked that no one else is covering this. Trump's ICE thugs are detaining Native Americans.
Insane. Fucking
insane. More American than you and I. I thought
more.
This would be all over the place. I guess it's that video for us is blowing up because no one else is covering it. No one else is also covering the fact, we'll get to it later, there was a massive fire at a lithium plant in Northern California next to the salad bowl of America. 70% of our greens are produced next to this plant. Lithium, which becomes a whole lot of other terrible shit when combusted, and they're already finding contamination in the soil. No one covering it. This is not just Northern California. You're talking about your salad, your veggies, your fruits, all of us. No one covering it. It's just stunning. So where everyone else zags, we'll continue. Where everyone else zigs, we'll continue to zag. and knock on wood, it's growing. So if you're new here, subscribe. And thank you to the folks that have been signing up as paid members. We'll promote that and get to that later. All right, let's start. I don't want to reflexively chase the Trump carnival every day. So I'm not going to cover Trump 24/7. However, he is right now doing things that are pretty important, and we don't have a choice to cover it. So last night, on a whim, I don't know, he decided to freeze all government grants and most government programs for grants and funding to states, cities. It affects Medicaid. It affects, children's food programs, water. I mean, across the board. It doesn't seem that it has any actual method or madness. It also seems fairly illegal to me, like a lot of other things he's been doing. I'll just read to start. This is from the New York Times. Funding freeze. President Trump's order to freeze trillions of dollars in federal grants and loans until they could be vetted interrupted a system that provides health care to millions of low-income Americans and other services on Tuesday. The order issued Monday night as part of Trump's plan to purge the government of what he called, quote, woke ideology. Oh, my God. Left millions unsure if they would lose access to jobs and services. This include Medicaid, the online system through which state Medicaid departments receive federal funding, stopped working on Tuesday morning, according to state officials. The outage at least temporarily jeopardized payments the federal government legally owes Medicaid programs, which serve tens of millions of low-income Americans. To get more specific, this is again from the Times. White House Budget Office orders pause in all federal loans and grants. The full extent of the order was not immediately clear. This is potentially paralyzing a vast swath of programs and sowing confusion and alarm among the array of groups that depend on them. Is this what you wanted, MAGA? Is this what you wanted? Flood the zone with nonsensical stupidity to get rid of, quote, woke? How's that working out for you? Did he lower the grocery prices yet? No.
Fucking idiots.
War between Russia and Ukraine? I thought that was day one.
Fucking
God,
idiots.
the con. And MAGA, I'm not trying to alienate you. Please don't be a snowflake and unsubscribe right away. But sometimes, if you've been in a relationship for a while and you're giving more to it and you just feel an imbalance, you feel like you love her more or love him more, but you're just afraid to leave, So you just rationalize and you tell yourself, nah, I'm overthinking it. Nah, he loves me. She loves me. But in your gut, you're being conned. You're being taken advantage of. Well, I hope you're starting to see, because none of this has anything to do with what he ran on. None of it. The directive threatened to upend funds that course throughout the American economy, hundreds of billions of dollars in grants to state, local, and tribal governments, disaster relief aid, education, transportation funding, loans to small business. I guess let's play Chuck Schumer, his response to this.
Last night, President Trump plunged the country into chaos without a shred of warning. The Trump administration announced a halt to virtually all federal funds across the country. In an instant, Donald Trump has shut off billions, perhaps trillions of dollars that directly support states, cities, towns, schools, hospitals, small businesses, and most of all, American families. This is a dagger at the heart of the average American family in red states, in blue states, in cities, in suburbs, in rural areas. It is just outrageous. Funds for things like disaster assistance, local law enforcement, rural hospitals, aid to the elderly, food for people in need, all are on the chopping block in this new administration. Why? They need tax cuts for the ultra-wealthy, and these cuts, they think, will fund them. Every one of our offices has been deluged with calls from people who are in panic. What is this going to mean? What if I have a hospital that has people on life support? What are we going to do? And just like the January 6th pardons, this decision is lawless, dangerous, destructive, cruel. It's illegal. It's unconstitutional. I spoke to my Attorney General this morning. She's head of the State Attorneys General Association. They're going to court right away.
First off, before we get to Trump and all the chaos, for those viewers that are new, I want to introduce you to something, and Steve will introduce you, called modern monetary theory. So in reality, all this Byzantine cockamamie system where we got the states are relying on grants and loans and all this stuff. Steve, you could explain it. It doesn't need to be this way. The federal government could just create the money for the states, correct?
It does already. Everything that we're talking about right now, even the things they're saying, that it's all new money. There's not a single penny, not a single fucking cent that is your tax dollar. Not 1 cent, by the way. And when you hear Schumer railing on what Trump's doing, what Trump is doing, you have to be the most ridiculously stupid fucking person on the planet to support this. Republican, Democrat, just a human being. You've got to be a loser to support this. You got to be so economically illiterate, waking up shouldn't be an option. What you're doing by even not understanding that the country itself creates money when it spends. Every fucking nickel it spends is a new nickel, a new penny, a new dollar. Every fucking one of them. So when he turns off the spigot, all the states that depend on funding for their operations, it all rolls downhill. It cuts off. That's the real trickle down, is the federal government is the currency issuer. Unfortunately, disgraceful, disgusting libertarians think that the government doesn't do this. Idiotic Democrats believe that it's their tax dollars that do it. As a result, they continue this stupid fight that doesn't mean anything, but it's killing people because idiocy is lethal. What the government does is it writes a bill and it spends that money. And when it comes back as a tax, it deletes it, purges it. States, cities, townships, they're not currency issuers. None of them, including people that want state-by-state Medicare for all, can't do it because the federal government is the currency issuer. And what Donald Trump did, accidentally, purposely, whatever, is show you exactly where the state gets its money from. It's straight from the state. It's not tax dollars at all, ever. So when you think about what I'm saying here, during Biden, we tried to explain this. During Trump 1, we tried to explain this. During the Bernie Sanders first run, we tried to explain this. Everybody thought it was optional to worry about this shit. They just went on, did other things, ignored it. Still push for state-based healthcare. Still push for all kinds of ridiculous things that can't be funded at the state level. Now what you're watching is Trump literally bankrupting states. He's going to hurt the people that have the least amount to survive. Right in the middle of winter.
Let me just interject so I have it correct too.
Sure.
Your tax dollars do go on the state level to state services,
Yes.
your local town, this and that. However, your tax dollars that you pay to your local town, your local city, your local state, it's not even close to meeting the full needs of said state. Near. So the state relies on the federal government, which again, we don't need to figure out how to pay for things as the federal government because the federal government prints money. And by the way, if you think we're crazy, don't take it from me. Don't take it from Steve. Alan Greenspan, that old hag, the Federal Reserve Chair, he's on tape saying this.
Donald Trump is.
Go ahead.
Donald Trump is. Donald Trump says we can never default. We print the money, even though it's not printing money. He said, we print the money. We got a printing press. That's how we do it. It's whether you like that or not is irrelevant. It's like less than relevant whether you like it, right? The reality is that's how it's done. Every single penny of every single cent spent on the military by a keystroke, not by your tax dollar. Every single bomb paid for in Israel to Gaza, 100%, not your tax dollar. Every single benefit, whether it be student debt, you name it, doesn't cost a nickel of tax dollar. Every bit of it is government money. And every bit of it could happen without any problem. They could blow it up and it wouldn't hurt a soul. The problem is that we're too fucking stupid and we're too baked into this lie. And we keep repeating that lie. And we keep repeating it to our friends and then some. And then you got the Jimmy Dore crowd, which I usually don't put in my mouth. But because they're sidling up to these right-wing idiots and they don't speak the truth, and they do know the truth because I've been on his show. Stephanie Kelton has been on his show. People that know this stuff have been on his show, but he still reverts to this LOL libertarian nonsense. And then half of fucking the left goes running around saying they're hard-earned tax dollars. So Trump, in his infinite wisdom, is telling all the people worried about their tax dollars going wasted on woke programs that we're going to stop these payments because we don't want your hard-earned tax dollars going there. But it's all a motherfucking lie. Every last bit of it. And every time you carry it, some child dies somewhere.
I want to smash the like button. We got over 500 people watching. We got to get more. Thank you if you're new here. We're already at 25,000 new subscribers in 2025. So we're really moving here. If you don't know, we're one of the only outlets that go on the ground. We're not just bloviating out of our behinds in a studio. I'm going to be back on the ground probably in the next week or two. I'll have some news on that in a little bit. Please support us if you can. It actually takes a lot of resources to provide real, living, breathing journalism. And we're pretty damn close to being able to advertise to hire a new reporter. But we need more funding for that. So please support us, statuscoup.com/join. When I say a new reporter, I'm not talking about one of these neutral robot reporters in a straitjacket to tell you this side says this side says this. We're neutral. You fucking figure it out. We're talking about justice journalism here. We're going to hire a reporter who has a little attitude, who has a little righteous indignation about this fucking corrupt cesspool we call the United Corporations of America. Anyway, I digress. I want to get a few things out there. And again, this is not an I told you so MAGA, but I think it's important. Number one, none of this shit that he's doing has anything to do with lowering prices. It has nothing to do with better government. You know, he's saying, Doge and Elon Musk and, government efficiency. This is just chaos. And I think what he's doing, and it's really the Steve Bannon playbook, flood the zone. So all the masses are so distracted, they can't keep up with all the things you're doing. Because it's not just that he's doing this with freezing federal programs. It's the ICE raids where they're trying to deport 2,000 people a day. And there's not enough illegal aliens to deport 2,000 illegal aliens a day. There's not that many in the country. So then you have to go find people who are actually legal here, but Trump's people will come up with whatever cockamamie reason to get rid of them. So he's doing that with the ICE raids, the freezing federal grants and programs. Then you have, I did a video this morning, which is, we could do a whole show on its own, purging the National Labor Relations Board, which was one of the only good things Biden did, frankly, because as worker bees, we already have barely an ounce of power in this country, barely any leverage in this country. The only iota of leverage we have is labor unions, the ability to strike, the ability to picket, the ability to organize, which has been decimated by Reagan and Clinton and Bush and Obama and both parties. And it's seen a little teeny tiny bit resurgence in the last couple of years. UAW strike, the teachers strikes, the nurses strikes. So what did anti-establishment Trump? And you know what, MAGA? I'm tired of being nice. Fucking wise up. This man isn't anti-establishment. He's not a populist, and he's not for you. He had Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of TikTok. Trump might as well have been cradling their ball sacks. They were so close to him behind his inauguration. Why do you think he fired the general counsel of the National Labor Relations Board this morning, Jennifer Abruzzo, who actually was pretty decent for workers under Biden? I know because I covered the Amazon workers union campaign, which they won. I covered the Starbucks workers union campaign. This is the first time the NLRB has been half favorable to workers. Problem was they don't have enough staff or budget or teeth. They can't go after these companies criminally. All they could do is civil penalties, which Jeff Bezos wipes behind in his bidet in one of his 25 mansions. But Not only did he get rid of her, now he's firing the Democratic board member of the NLRB. So now there's no quota. So this is really a 5-alarm fire if you actually, MAGA, because a lot of you are actually workers and you are affected by this. Because if you cannot unionize, if you can't go on strike, and what's going to happen and why Trump is doing this, he's paying back Elon Musk for the reported $70 million Elon Musk was giving him every month during his campaign. He's paying back Bezos, Zuckerberg, all these miscreants who were giving money to his inaugural and are funneling money to his already. They're funding money to his White House, even though he technically by the Constitution can't run again. It's reported that Trump's going to raise $500 million within the first 6 months of this year. Why? Well, Elon Musk has already tried to go to court to declare the National Labor Relations Board unconstitutional. So has Jeff Bezos. They want to get rid of the National Labor Relations Board, which was an advent of the National Labor Relations Act. That was the New Deal. So they're just trying to get rid of, if you get rid of the National Labor Relations Board, and then you get rid of the National Labor Relations Act, what's next? You go after the very constitutionality of, say it with me, labor unions. And you want to tell me that this guy gives a flying fuck whether your grocery prices
fucking idiots
are high, whether gas is high, while he's mining his little Trump coin? He has taken you to the cleaners. You have been conned. And by the way, this is not, to be clear, because I know people can't, in tribal media and tribal politics, they can't have two different thoughts at once. This is not me or Steve saying, get on the Chuck Schumer train, get on the Democratic train. I'm not telling you to do that. I sent a scathing text message to my father this morning. I said, this is what you voted for? Detaining Native Americans? Native Americans? This is what you voted for? Detaining elderly Latino women? This is what you voted for? Getting rid of the National Labor Relations Board? I love you, but wake the fuck up. So, MAGA, I hope this is, if rounding up all the brown people makes, if that supersedes all this other stuff, then I got news for you. I would look in the mirror, because rounding up these immigrants, it's not going to lower your gas prices. It's not going to lower your grocery prices. It's not bringing the plants back. It's not bringing the plants back. Whoever told you that is bullshit. And by the way, if we're so worried about illegal acts, MAGA, when are you going to pressure Trump to prosecute the bankers that broke the law to tank our global economy? You care about illegal brown people, but you don't care about the bankers that tanked our global economy and were allowed to stay free for 15 years now? You're going to tell Trump to right that wrong? Because Obama is the one who let them stay out of jail. You're going to tell Trump to go after the fossil fuel executives who have broken the law? They have hid their leaks into your water and air and animals. You're going to go after the for-profit healthcare executives that are preying on the elderly criminally? I mean, I could go on, Steve. It seems like they only care about illegal, and I don't even like the term illegal. It's undocumented immigrants. But they only care about illegal people in the country. They don't care about the illegal oligarchs who are committing crimes left and right at your expense. So I don't want to hear it, MAGA. And if you're so much of a snowflake, goodbye. I at this point, it brings me joy. You know, we did a video the other day. At first, I saw we lost 60 subscribers when I went after Trump for his ICE thugs detaining Native Americans. And to be honest with you, I was happy about it. I told Colin, I want to do some, it's not spring yet. Let's do some spring cleaning and get rid of these folks. I welcome conservative viewers, but not if you just want to hear your own thoughts fed to you. You got 100 other channels for that. This is not one. I'm going to tell you the straight truth. I'm going after the fucking limousine liberals and the wine moms. So liberals are not safe here, and you MAGA people are not safe here either, because you're all being conned. Your turn.
No, they're feeding the con too. That's the thing. Dude, when you look at these folks that support this shit, they don't have a clue, literally not a clue what's going on. I kid you not. Going back to my own hometown in Washington, D.C. area, these people are celebrating this shit. And I'm like, Do you not have a child that's going to be impacted this? You have an autistic child. Your child isn't going to get the funding they need for their special needs program. They're like, what? What? I'm like, you worthless piece of shit. You fucking dumb fuck. You didn't know it, but yet you were full-throatedly supporting it? What does that make you? What are you? What kind of person's like that? Who could even be like that? And I told my sister, my own sister, whom I love dearly, I told her, I said, my son's autistic. And I said, and with them cutting this funding, I'm very concerned about his ability to survive in this. I said, do you think an autistic child is DEI woke? I said, I don't want to hear about this stuff. Why don't you want to hear about what you guys doing? Why don't you want to fucking hear it? I'm serious. Line them the fuck up and make every one of them stare and look at it. Make every one of them look at their kid and apologize to their child for it. Make every one of them own the fucking shit. I'm serious. From the fucking economic illiteracy that is, by the way, not necessary because it's perfectly possible for you not to be economically illiterate, to understanding that capital is not going to let us vote away its power. They are going to do it. This is why you get it from shit libs, and this is why you get it from worthless MAGAs. You're going to get the same exact shit. Capital accumulation. Trump is accelerating the shit right now. Not that you really had a whole lot of say in it to begin with, but your ability to fight back is highly dependent on you waking the fuck up and organizing with your brothers and sisters who are working class. Not sitting there poking fun. Oh, the woke. Shut the fuck up. Your anti-woke shit is fucking juvenile. It's not even intelligent.
But can I just be clear, Steve?
Go, please.
Look at all the people that led this anti-woke crusade. It's all billionaires.
Yeah.
That's why MAGA, and I'm not trying to come down on you. I saw some people in the chat. I'm not going to stand for being insulted. Okay, goodbye. But I say this kindly with love. Why do you think billionaires are zeroing in on woke? It's a distraction mechanism. It's to take your eye off the fact that excuse my French, they're raping you up the butt. They are literally stealing from you. Elon Musk is stealing from you. Jeff Bezos literally stealing from his workers. I could go down the list. Hell, Goldman Sachs CEO just made $39 million last year.
Go MAGA.
United Healthcare, after their CEO was murdered by Luigi Mangione, they decided to replace him with a new CEO, the guy who most famously ran their Medicare Advantage program, the very fraudulent scam that is preying on elderlies and seniors. Okay, all this DEI and woke and all this shit, it's all a distraction. None of it matters. Some of it sometimes occasionally go too far. It's just like, oh, trans people in sports. That's your number one issue as we have a insane level of income inequality, as homelessness has skyrocketed in this country, as it's not even, forget the grocery prices, forget the gas. The 40-year inflation called gentrification, i.e. economic terrorism. You want to talk about woke? They have literally, I'm talking about MAGA. The Republicans have literally, it's like sitting at a casino at the card table and you're being cheated by the dealer. The dealer is scamming you and you don't get it. And then the dealer, he's rigged the game, and then he's told you, hey, look at that woke table over there. It's absurd. And I don't want to let the Democrats off the hook because they enabled this. They enabled this. You allow a buffoon like Trump, who literally was talking about Arnold Palmer's dick size like 2 weeks before he won. You literally allow a buffoon like Trump to win when you literally offer nothing but crumbs for 40 years. People get fed up and they want something new. And that's something new, even if it's just a used car salesman and a snake oil salesman, if you can construct enough of a sentence, if it sounds charismatic, If for certain people he gives off strongman vibes, he could sneak in. He could sneak in. So the Democrats, if you want to, I don't know, listen to Bernie Sanders. I love these people now coming out. James Carville. Well, maybe Bernie had a point. New York Times columnist. Maybe that Bernie had a point. I mean, it's just beyond the pale. And I also want to make another point why I think, Steve, you and me are kind of outcasts in an otherwise tribal political landscape. I love these, you say MAGA people. Oh, you were preaching about Dictator Obama with his executive actions. Dictator Obama, it's unconstitutional, these executive orders. I mean, I'm sure the record will show Trump has done more executive orders in his first 2 weeks as president than any other president. Most of them seem illegal to me. I hear nothing about him being a dictator now from the same fucking Republicans who called Obama a dictator. So it's all tribal theater bullshit. If it's the guy on your team, silence. If it's the guy on the team you've been told is bad, dictator. And who suffers the most? All of us. Because I got news for you. Trump ain't bringing down grocery prices. They're probably going to go up because of these tariffs. By the way, with his ICE roundup, there's reports that farmers are not coming to work because, frankly, many of them are not documented. So prices are going to go up because you're not going to have the same supply of crops. There you go. We get rid of the brown people. By the way, getting rid of immigrants has nothing to do with prices. They're not taking your jobs. You know who took your jobs? Reagan, Bill Clinton, Obama, all of them by signing NAFTA, normal trade relations with China, trying to push through the TPP. That's what closed the plants. That's what did deindustrialization. And we haven't even gotten to AI yet, which we're already over on this topic. We're going to get to AI later. Steve, the last thing I'll say, at the end of the day, Trump is going to be a chaos carnival. It's going to get worse. We're going to see horrible ICE roundups. Our cameraman, John, is going to be on the ground and cover some of it. Obviously, they're not scheduled, so we'll try to get video whenever we could get there. It's inhumane. The ICE roundups, this chaos with we're going to freeze all the government programs and we're going to unconstitutionally purge the National Labor Relations Board. A lot of it will get thrown out of court. Some of it, his court, the Supreme Court, will uphold. But at the end of the day, I know it's hard not to, I'm talking to you, the audience, it's hard not to just be reactionary and focus on the chaos of it all. But I want you to remember, he wants you to be scared. He wants you to be discombobulated. The right wants you to be discombobulated. I'm saying if you're on the left or the right and you are wise enough to realize they're both fucking you, just the Democrats are fucking you in a more civil way and Trump's fucking you in a more authoritarian, aggressive way, we need to come together and organize. And what I mean organize, Steve and I have been talking about it for 2 years now, economically. We got to do economic boycotts, economic strikes. I'm talking Amazon. I'm talking Walmart. I'm talking about big box retail. I'm talking about corporate banking. I'm talking about all of them with mutual aid. Instead of giving money to politicians and all these nonprofit groups, most of which are a scam, throw it into the mutual aid pot so money goes to the Amazon workers. So you're not hurting the workers, you're hurting the shareholders in the company. I think that's the only way, because Trump is only going to listen, and Democrats will only listen if you hurt their donors.
Yeah, I think the only loyalty anybody owes each other is to the working class, to each other. No party loyalty, no fucking strongman loyalty, no MAGA fucking loyalty, no country loyalty, only working class loyalty. And that crosses state lines, that crosses country lines. Working class must unite. Fuck this shit. It's ridiculous.
And I just want to say one last thing, and I'm not even going to preface this with I'm trying to be kind to MAGA. I'm being a little stern now. So if you're a MAGA person watching, I want you to really listen to this. Trump, one of the first things he did was to try and basically get rid of birthright citizenship in America. It basically means if you're born here, you're American, even if you're born to undocumented immigrants. This is not for national security or border security. It's just straight up bigotry, straight up racism. It's to play to people that are racist. I don't know what other way to say it. But the legal rationale that they used for it was basically that Native Americans are not actually American citizens. Let that sink in. One of the legal rationalizations they're using to say that birthright citizenship is not constitutional is to say that Native American birthrights was not constitutional in the first place because of jurisdiction. We literally raped, murdered, kidnapped, and stole their land. We deported them to reservations, not all, but most. And now he's trying to get rid of birthright citizenship by basically saying, hey, those Indians over there, they're not Americans. If you subscribe to that, I'm talking to you, MAGA. I'm talking to you, the Trump supporter. And not all Trump supporters, by the way, are MAGA. There is that swing voter who voted for Obama and then switched to Trump and then switched to Biden. So I'm talking to all people who voted for Trump, not just diehard MAGA. I know a lot of you don't support that. I know a lot of you are not just bigots and racist and just wanted something different and were turned off by the Democratic Party. But you cannot support that, as I told my father. Because that, and I don't use the H word often, and I don't compare everybody to Hitler, that kind of hate, that deliberate hate does have tinges of those fascists from the 20th century, and you should not be supporting that. Smash that like button, share this live stream. Hey, Steve, I would say this is equally important. It's not as chaotic and it's not getting any media attention for some strange reason. Speaking of farms, for those that don't know, there's a region in Northern California, in Monterey County and the surrounding areas. It's called the Salad Bowl of America. 70% of our greens are produced there, as well as a lot of fruits. For example, strawberries. You know, you go to the supermarket, one of the big ones is Driscoll's strawberries, produced on farms right here. Well, as far as I know, nationally, I'm the only one that's been covering this. There was a major fire nearly 2 weeks ago at a lithium plant, a lithium battery plant. We'll get into the green energy part of it in a little bit. There was a major fire. It was, I believe, the second or third fire at this plant in 3 years. Lithium, when combusts, you have a lot of hazardous chemicals, including all sorts of heavy metals, hydrochloric fluoride, which turns into hydrochloric acid. So I've been covering this because like Flint, like East Palestine, like Kalamazoo, like Georgia, we've covered them all. Everybody, the EPA, the health officials say everything's fine, no chemicals. Meanwhile, the residents are posting all over social media about their nosebleeds, about their headaches, about their lung burns. Their lungs are burning, about their asthma acting up, about the metallic taste in their mouth. Yet the EPA is saying everything's fine. We showed a clip. Colin, do we have the clip? If not, it's okay. Where initially a local health official said, yeah, we don't think it would be prudent to test the soil in the Salad Bowl of America because we don't really know what we're looking for. Do we have that, Colin?
Give me 1 sec to find it.
Okay, that's fine. So said, we don't know what we're looking for, but they told everyone to come home. And by the way, this is not like a small California spread out. So we were seeing on social media, Steve, their Facebook group, we're talking people are having health symptoms from a half mile away to 50 miles away. No media coverage. Just so happens that this was one of Gavin Newsom's pet projects. Governor of California. Just so happens this plant kind of state ran control through around local approval. So nearly 2 weeks later, after they said, we don't need to test the soil, after the EPA said everything's fine, well, scientists find heavy metal spike in Moss Landing soil post-battery facility fire. This is not the EPA, by the way, because apparently the EPA hasn't tested the soil yet. Can't find what you don't look for. Research scientists at San Jose State University's Moss Landing Marine Laboratory said they have detected unusually high concentrations of heavy metal nanoparticles in marsh soils at the Elkhorn Slough Reserve after Moss Landing Battery Facility fire on January 16th. So this isn't even 2 weeks ago, and they're already finding heavy metals at unusually high concentrations. Dr. Ivano Aiello, who is the professor and chair of the San Jose State University's Moss Landing Marine Laboratories, and his teams have monitored marsh soil properties as part of a program for the Elkhorn Slough estuary. In the last 2 years, they've been testing for chemicals. In the days following the Vistra power plant's lithium-ion battery storage facility fire, a dramatic increase in marsh soil surface concentration of 3 heavy metals, nickel, manganese, and cobalt was found. The field surveys were conducted with a radius of around 2 miles from the battery storage facility. The dramatic increase relates to both the shallow subsurface and the baseline measurements conducted in the area. In English, you want some manganese, cobalt, you want some manganese, nickel, or cobalt with your salad. Now let's show the clip. This was just a few days after the fire when a health official with this area, what she said when asked, "You're going to test the soil?"
Why not just do it now? We got EPA here. We've got the federal resources here. Let's just do it. Have them do it.
I don't necessarily think that would be prudent just to pull samples when we don't necessarily know what we're looking for at this.
Jesus Christ.
And to be clear, I want got about 700 people watching. This is not a story about Northern California. I mean, the immediate impact is the residents who are having nosebleeds, severe headaches, lung burning, all that. We get 70%. Let me repeat it. 70% of our greens nationwide come from this area. When I'm talking greens, I'm talking broccoli, I'm talking lettuce, I'm talking celery. I got a whole list here. Hold on. Lettuce, broccoli, spinach, also fruits, strawberries. 90% of artichokes are produced here. Cauliflower. So that's a whole lot of our vegetable supply and a lot of fruits. And again, this is not the EPA testing the soil. From what sources on the ground told me, a local county today, their board voted that they're going to test the soil. Why are you testing the soil 2 weeks later? You need to test immediately. Secondly, I understand, obviously you got the LA wildfires. There's a lot going on, the Trump chaos, but I don't know, Steve. A lot of Status Coup is based on covering what the corporate media covers up. Kind of seems like a big fucking deal that maybe you should cover when the world's biggest lithium battery storage facility has a massive fire, went on for several days. The fire chief said there's chance of reignition. People weeks later, we're going on 2 weeks. Colin, let's show the clip. I interviewed a woman yesterday. She's 5 months pregnant. She lives on a boat with her family, 1,000 feet away. Her and her daughters are she's pregnant and having symptoms. Let's play that.
The other major experience that we're having is lethargy. Like being here in Moss Landing, still being here today is exhausting. It's like you are so exhausted. It's overcoming. And I have, some of the people that I go to church with also expressed the same feeling, just feeling like they could go into a coma for 2 days.
Very, very severe fatigue?
Very severe fatigue. When you come here, you feel fatigued, you feel tired. Yeah, and it's very frightening. Yes, the residents and the people in the community are number one for concern, but then we're talking about feeding the world, and that's a number two concern. And then we're talking about being in the largest estuary, which fuels most of the diversity in Monterey Bay and the Pacific Ocean. And then we're talking about being on the edge of a marine sanctuary that our state and local government has vowed to protect. And in the middle of that is this huge lithium facility that was approved quietly during the pandemic when people were advised not even to leave their houses. I think that there is, obviously some kind of political, financial, hand in pocket agenda to, quiet the reality of the short and long term health symptoms or complications in order to essentially restock those batteries as soon as they can. So if you look here on the outside, you'll see there's like this blackish tone. I don't want to touch it. And so this is something I want to get off the boat, but when the wind blows, it does help at least catch the debris. So it's not, I'm not sure what the best approach is. We're just trying to be creative and conservative. I saw that we had a representative, I want to say Laird, who issued a statement and, not in one sentence did he say the concerns of, our residents' health. I think that there is, obviously some kind of political, financial, hand in pocket agenda to, quiet the reality of the short and long term health symptoms or complications in order to essentially restock those batteries as soon as they can.
So, Steve, to be clear, because I think in the few people who even know about this story, because frankly, other than the local media there, who's doing an awful job covering it, by the way, I'm the only one I know. We're the only one covering it. But some people have used this as a way to weaponize against green energy. This is not about green energy. This is about the fact that whether it's lithium batteries, green energy, or plastics, or fracked gas, or highly toxic chemicals traveling by rail, or name it, green, fossil, coal. We have corporations and we have very hazardous materials, whether it's metal, chemicals, volatile compounds, green, fossil, coal, all over this country that is stored dangerously, that there are not regulations being followed or even regulations being implemented. Regulations being, and one more thing. Most of these plants, whether it's green or with green, which is good, or fossil, a lot of them are being dumped on top of communities where they shouldn't be there. You shouldn't have a lithium battery plant next to such an important agricultural community that provides America so much of our produce. Go ahead.
No, it's important to note that green capitalism is not good. Green capitalism is still capitalism, and it's still preying on the same lack of regulation, same profit motive, same cutting corners, same capital accumulation of the 1% is still, none of this is good. Okay. The idea that somehow or another, just because a company's figured out a way to make money off of greenwashing their business practices doesn't make it good. I want to be crystal clear on that. But the other thing that I think is really important is this. We go into this thing and we think, you watch shows like Landman, a recent show with Billy Bob Thornton from that Taylor Sheridan guy that did the Yellowstone series, all these Yellowstones and all that stuff. They put the libertarian perspective out there, that right-wing perspective about how, the woke tards out there fucking wanting to do all this, wind turbines, but they're killing all the birds and they're all the oil it takes to keep the wind turbines going to go ahead and fuck up all these other things. They're not wrong. The fact of the matter is that green capitalism is capitalism, and capitalism is killing us. And that's the truth, whether it's left or right or woke or anti-woke. Capitalism's fucking killing all of us, including MAGAs, including regular working class people, including people who I wouldn't fucking piss on their head to put out a fire. It's killing all of us. And I think it's important to start really reassessing how we view what is right, what is wrong, who is good, who is bad, through the lens of capitalism and understanding its impact on all of us.
Absolutely. So you could have certain technologies that are good or better than others. I think, there are dangers with the electric vehicle push, this and that. There's dangers with all the energy that's being used for crypto and AI, all that. But with that said, I call it the United Corporations for a reason. The corporations are literally running the government. There are barely any regulations. We don't even know what the fuck, when you see all these chemical plant fires, we've seen it in Georgia with the biolab fire that they had chlorine gas in the air. We're seeing it now with this. We don't even know all the chemicals that they have in the plant. We don't even know which ones were near each other that shouldn't have been. We don't know, wait a minute, if they had several fires in the past few years, did the local or state government enforce tighter regulations, do any investigations? And then you find out, oh, this is the old boys club. And, the governor, pushed this plant through. This donor was linked to this plant. This company and set of lobbyists lobbied for this plant. And all the local corruption, every story I cover, there's local corruption, and it's all linked to state corruption. But who are the victims? All of us. Because I literally read an LA Times story about this. There was no mention that residents are having health symptoms. None. If you look at every one of these stories, there's always a Facebook page created among residents. They become activists. It's a goddamn avalanche of health symptoms. We're not talking about like a mild headache. We're talking chronic headache, bloody noses, animals too, lungs burning. I've read people have been hospitalized, pregnant women. I mean, I'm hoping for the best for that woman that I interviewed. And by the way, again, somehow they're not doing a widespread testing of the soil. They should be monitoring the soil before. And, I interviewed a local official. He said, well, the positive is this is winter, so a lot of the crops are not, in full bloom. Well, the soil's not frozen. So if the soil is contaminated, you don't just brush the soil away and it's contaminated. I want to also show you, because I reached out to two experts on this contamination. Colin, if you have either order, the full screens you made. So I reached out to a toxicologist from NYU, Judith Zelikoff. In general, many plants and produce take up metals from the soil and bioconcentrate. Not good for eating plants, as that is an exposure route for humans. Also can get into certain produce or fruit. Yeah. So these heavy metals they're finding in the soil 2 miles away, that's just being tested 2 miles away. We don't know how far. Again, lithium, when it combusts, you got the heavy metals, you got the hydrochloric fluoride, you got the hydrochloric acid. I mean, it's a hydrogen fluoride. Hydrogen fluoride, which then turns into, when it hits water, hydrogen acid. I want to also read, I did an interview the other day with a hazardous waste expert. He was a fire chief in Youngstown. He's the one who said, hey, it seems like Norfolk Southern just nuked this town to open up the rails quicker. He went further on the danger here. His name is Sil Caggiano. Let's show that one, Colin. The heavy metals associated with lithium batteries are cobalt, copper, nickel, manganese, lead, mercury, and cadmium. Most are very dangerous. Even though it's winter, if not completely remediated, leafy greens like spinach and lettuce, carrots, radishes, zucchini, and some wetland plants uptake this stuff into their structure. And who and whatever consumes it will have it in their system. Meaning, the leafy greens you're eating might have all these heavy metals in them. It bioaccumulates in our bodies and poison us. Not my words. This is a heavy metals expert, a former fire chief. Same with animals that we eat that eat the contaminated vegetation. Animals eat the plants. It bioaccumulates in them. Then we get it when we eat them. Once inside, heavy metals are extremely slow to leave. I don't know, Steve. Am I being dramatic that this might be kind of fitted into the evening newscast?
No, not at all.
And I don't know. They could do widespread testing and, knock on wood, find that there was minimal contamination, and they could, do something to remediate. But this is a massive fire, Colin. If you have any of the B-roll or photos, and hydrogen fluoride is really fucking bad, really fucking toxic at high levels. And most of the experts that I've talked to have said the symptoms people are experiencing match with the symptoms you would have from hydrogen fluoride. Let's play the clip from SIL, the hazardous waste expert.
Looking for the byproduct of hydrogen fluoride. The byproduct of hydrogen fluoride is going to be hydrofluoric acid. That's what's going to happen when it gets into the environment and it meets water. If it gets in water, it's going to wash down to hydrogen fluoric acid. The problem with hydrofluoric acid in plants, some plants uptake this stuff. There's a reason why, I don't like broccoli. And one of them is because it likes to take stuff up into it. And it'll take dioxins, it'll take furans. It brings it up and it consolidates it within the cell structure of the plants. So yeah, I'd be extremely concerned. I'd be taking some tests. I'd be doing water samples to see if you have any hydrofluoric acid within that. It's going to kill fish. There's going to be a fish kill off. It amazes me that you're an EPA person and you don't know what you're looking for. It's plain. It defies imagination, and this is kind of like the same deja vu all over again. We're not going to look for what we don't want to find.
Right.
It's like that with the dioxins in East Palestine. They don't want to find them, so they're not going to look for them. It's like that in a lot of places. It's our new reality where we're going to politicize and deny everything because a company doesn't want you to find.
I say, Colin, we're going to have to add this to the merchandise store. United Sacrifice Zones. That's what we're becoming.
Wow.
And by the way, if you don't know, we got some swag too. Go to, what's our store, Colin? StatusCoup.com/store.
Yes, StatusCoup.com/store.
You can get your United Corporations of America shirt, your capitalism shirt, capitalism, Poison States of America, and I think we're going to have to add United Sacrifice Zones. I got to tell you, there's a reason I've stayed on Flint for now 9 years, 11 years total, the water crisis I've been covering for 9. There's a reason we're staying on East Palestine. I'm working on another story about that. If you're watching and think like, oh, these poor people, but it's not about you because it's not your community. It might come to your community or near you because this plant, people are feeling symptoms. I've read as far as 70 to 100 miles away. The wind takes that stuff. And we just have one big giant web of unregulated chemical bombs waiting to go off, whether it's lithium, plastics, railroads intentionally blowing up. I mean, I'm worried. I'm worried, period, because the government doesn't care. The media doesn't seem to care either. I'm not taking away from the California wildfires, but like this affects a lot more people because we produce we get our vegetables from there, and it's not being it's kind of just normalized. All these poisonings are just normalized. EPA or the local officials, they do testing. They magically don't find a problem. They tell the residents, oh, you have like bloody noses and all these things. Yeah, we can't really do cause and effect. We don't know if it was the fire that, I mean, it's absurd. It's literally leaving people to be sick and die at the altar of the almighty dollar.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you, man. I think people are overwhelmed. There's just so much shit out there that is an immediate necessity to focus on. And you've only got so many brain cells to focus on them. I think people are just fatigued beyond words. And I believe this is part of the Trump message also with the overarching thing to keep us so fatigued with this nonstop deluge of bad shit happening, fearful shit that's destabilizing. I think it's just the intent is to overwhelm us with absolute complete, you can't do anything about this, to the point where people feel like they can't do anything about it. And they just shut down.
I agree. We'll stay on this, obviously. It's what we do at Status Coup. Please, please, please. And by the way, shout out to new Status Coup members, Kristen and Barbara. Please, please, if you can. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of outlets and organizations asking you for money. If you can support us as a paying Status Coup member, you are actually supporting real, living, breathing journalism. particularly journalism that leaves the studio. If I can, I would like to possibly go there and cover this in person. If we had the funds, we would have sent a reporter down to cover when it happened in Conyers, Georgia, with that chemical that chemical fire that sent chlorine gas in the air. Chlorine gas was outlawed after World War I. It was a chemical weapon. We want to cover as many of these as possible. And you don't really find out where the bodies are truly buried. You don't really find out the full extent of local corruption, state corruption, until you go there. You meet residents, you meet activists. I mean, I would have never published my book on Flint without going there 21 times. So if you want real living, breathing journalism, I don't get funding from Norfolk Southern, from the owner of this lithium plant, from United Healthcare, from all the fucking vultures. Our funding comes from you, the people. StatusCoup.com/join. You could support us for as low as $5 a month. Steve, real quick, because I know you got to go. All this hubbubaloo the last few days about AI, and China apparently has a company, DeepSeek,
brother, yes,
that
sir.
Figured out, we don't really need to spend, hundreds of millions, billions of
open
dollars.
Architecture, open to all, free.
Right. Well, shocker. Trump wants to spend $500 billion to privatize AI. So this came out, I believe, right away after he became president. Trump announces up to $500 billion in private sector AI infrastructure investment. Welcome to the jobless economy, folks, at your expense, so that Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Apple, whatever other fucking companies are going to capitalize on AI. This is going to take away jobs. It's going to take away water because it requires a lot of water. It's going to fuck up the environment. And apparently, from what China is showing, it doesn't even require all that money. But of course, it requires all that money if you just want to give government money to corporations, which is what we tend to do in this country. In response to DeepSeek, the Chinese AI company that apparently showed that it could be done on the cheap, White House, quote, looking into the national security implications, the national security implications of China outdoing us, basically. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said at her first press briefing that the National Security Council was looking into the potential security implications of AI breakthroughs. Give me a break. From China's DeepSeek, which have rocked Silicon Valley and Wall Street. The security vulnerability translated how much money our donors have lost. Because there was a big sell-off yesterday for a lot of these AI companies because investors who had put a lot of money into American AI companies are realizing, oh, fuck, these companies might end up going belly up because China ended up doing it for much cheaper. I also want to play this clip that is truly a symbol, a crystallization of the capitalist social Darwinist hellscape we're all living through. Here is Sam Altman. He was the open AI guy, I guess. Basically saying that, hey, folks, we're going to have to change the social contract here in America, if there even is one, to usher in the AI revolution. But don't worry, it's going to be a good thing for you. Let's play that.
I still expect, although I don't know what, and this is over a long period of time. This is not a like next year or, the year after that kind of thing. But over a long period of time, I still expect that there will be some change required to the social contract, given how powerful we expect this technology to be. I'm not a believer that there won't be any jobs. I think we always find new things to do. But I do think like the whole structure of society itself will, be up for some degree of debate and reconfiguration.
Your thoughts, Steve?
Well, I'm glad we live in a democracy, right? I'm glad we all get to weigh in and figure out how we want our society to look, what we value, where we place our energies, where we place our nation's resources. It appears that a select few billionaire oligarch Silicon Valley pukes are going to make all the choices for us. And you know, a lot of people out there supported the guys that made it happen. So it's terrifying. Terrifying is the best way I can put it.
And by the way, you know, nothing is all good or all bad, or very few things are all good or all bad. There are things that AI could do that will be good.
Sure.
Will be revolutionary breakthroughs. But
it's not the tool. It's not the tool. It's the people using it. It's the modus operandi behind it. It's the ideological framework by which it's being deployed. If it was a dictatorship of the proletariat and we all had control of this as a public thing, then we could make the decision to make it benefit all. But as a result of it being privatized, because fucking shit stains like privatization, this shit right here will benefit a handful of people and will wreck and destroy the lives of millions.
All I got to say, we already have a jobless economy in terms of you could have a job, but still be barely surviving. Like, that's not a vibrant economy. So you could have technically a job, you could get a paycheck, but still be fucked. But now we're going from that to potentially a jobless economy. They're just going to automate. I mean, I even heard, what was it, Stephen Miller, Trump's radical lunatic immigration guy. Yeah, we'll just automate the farms. If you get rid of the migrant workers, we'll automate the farms. The government representatives, they don't care because they're always going to have a job because they set the rules. They set the laws. They're not going to automate their jobs, the politicians, although we'd probably be better off. Although, AI and robots could also be corrupt. They could be coded to be corrupt. But it's just, we're in a really perilous time, I think, because it's not just about Trump. It's about, I think Chris Hedges kind of, the people that built the empire basically try to loot the place when they see that, the jig's almost up and that the masses are starting to get, the tension is building and there might be some type of revolution. They try to get their last licks. They try to get their last, in the name of technology, whether it's AI or other. I mean, it's the same thing with the fossil fuel industry. They know fossil fuels are dying, so they're trying to maximize the last vestiges of fossil fuels. But it's very dangerous because what happens, we've already seen it. As job security becomes less and less secure in this country, you have the opioid epidemic, mental health crisis, suicides on the rise. Well, pour some gasoline on that when you have AI or this new social contract that lunatic sociopath billionaires like Sam Altman talk about. Can have a lot more disenfranchised people, a lot more vulnerable people, and this leads to violence. Tie it back to Luigi Mangione.
You got no democracy, Jordan. So what are you going to do? You're going to vote your way out of this? Anybody tells you you're voting your way out of this? Seriously. Wake up, Peter Pan, Count Chocula. There is no fucking democracy. You live in an oligarchy. It's empirical. There's study upon study upon study that shows it. There's study upon study that shows that your opinion of a law has zero impact on whether they pass a law or not. Whether you like it, whether you hate it, doesn't matter. It only matters who the oligarch donor class is pushing for. And that's what's going to happen. And until we realize you're not voting your way out of this. Until you realize it'll change.
Tell people where they can find your great work, Steve, at Real Progressives and Real Progress in Action.
Thank you very much. So we have a YouTube channel, Real Progressives. Please check us out over there. We also have a podcast called Macro and Cheese. Comes out every Saturday morning. It's an audio only. So check it out on Spotify, whatever your favorite platform is. We also are on Substack, and definitely check out our website, realprogressives.org. And thank you so much, Jordan. I appreciate it.
And by the way, coming full circle, as we've been live, what was it? A federal judge has temporarily blocked part of Trump's freezing of federal grants. So we're going to see this happen a lot. Trump's going to do something illegal. Federal courts will stop it. Then Trump administration is going to appeal. Then it's going to go to the Supreme Court. It's going to be a chaotic mess. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
Let me read some super chats before we go. JT Brown, $10. Remember, kids, the letter F in the word communism stands for food. Is there a letter F in communism? Okay. Tyler, Status Coup member for 18 months. Thank you for everything you do. Stay strong. Thank you. Das Bosch Fleisch, 5.99 euros. 80 years ago, we had U.S. soldiers at the front door in Germany. Many of them were thinking they are here to defeat Nazism. What happened to their legacy? It's a very good point. Profound. Tony D, member for 34 months. With the insane right wing in power again, will the right wing insanity report show with Tina be back? Feel better, Steve. Thanks for the reporting. I don't know. Everything comes down to funding. We had to make cuts because of funding, but you never know. We do love Tina, and she does some great reporting for us on the ground. Das Bosch Fleisch, 249 euros. All your recent news should air on every channel. I agree. As humbly as I could say it, I don't understand why the fire we've been covering and the health problems aren't all over the news. I don't understand why Trump's ICE thugs detaining Native Americans who are more American than you and I, detaining them for hours as part of ICE roundups, why that's not all over the news. I know there's a lot of things happening at once and it's hard to cover everything. I can't cover everything. But there's some things that just simply people need to be informed about. Again, please support our on-the-ground reporting. We were just on the ground in North Carolina for almost a week, covering the continued disaster in the aftermath of Hurricane Helene. There are many people still displaced, sleeping in frigid weather in tents and RVs. We still are releasing videos from Jason Peters reporting. We still have a couple more videos of his interviews down there to release. We posted several of the weekend, so make sure you see those interviews. You won't see them anywhere else, this kind of reporting. John Farina, our cameraman, is going to be on the ground covering ICE raids and other things as they happen. And I'm currently working out trying to go on the road soon. So please support us. Literally, glasses off. I'm asking you to support us for 16 cents a day. That's what $5 a month is. What do you spend 16 cents a day on? There's got to be something you're spending $5 on a month or even a week that you don't crucially need. Now, I'm not telling you to get rid of or cancel out of your budget something you need. But if there's something you don't necessarily need, maybe it could be better spent on real living, breathing journalism. We do have membership plans for hire. We got $10 a month, $20 a month. We appreciate all those people who become members at higher levels, because obviously the higher your support, the further we could go. But every dollar counts. And if we could keep stacking those $5 a month, $10 a month, it will give us the stable amount of revenue we need to hire another reporter, hire another producer, and be on the ground more. So please support us. Thank you, new members. Kristen, Barbara, and Bodie signed up too. We'll be back at it tomorrow. Thank you, and have a great